Hey guys, it's Ray from Green Apple Painting, and this video is a lot different than most of my videos. This is an instructional video, tutorial video, on how to paint a room. So pay attention and try to keep up. This room has already been prepped, and instructions for that are in part 1 of this video. So I have my paint here, and just a word to the wise, this is very important. If you have a room that's big enough that you're going to need more than 1 gallon, you're definitely going to want to box your paint. What does that mean? What it means is you're just going to mix your 2 paints together. What can happen is when they mix the paint, it's possible, it's rare, but it is possible that you'll have a slight difference in color, even though it is supposed to be the same color. So get a large container, a 3-gallon bucket or 5-gallon bucket, and box the 2 together, and then pour that into your paint tray or whatever. This particular room, we're going to do 2 colors, surprise, surprise, and so 1 gallon will be enough for the 3 walls, and obviously another gallon for the accent wall will be plenty. So we're going to open this up, we're going to give it a little shake, and we're going to pour, about 75% of this paint into our paint tray. Make sure your paint tray is nice and clean. Alright, so we're going to start cutting. I'm going to do the accent wall first, so that'll dry up, and then we'll do the other 3 walls after that. But when you dip your brush, get the excess off of the sides of your brush. You want to paint with the tip, and you don't paint with the side of your brush. So you want to keep all the paint concentrated on the tip of your brush, and you put that right in the corners, and boom, boom, boom. So we're just going to put that right in the corner, go up, go down, and the last thing you want to do, meaning you don't want to do, is leave a big thick edge. You want to do what we call feathering it out, which means, you kind of start with a nice good film of paint and ease it out to where you have pretty much nothing. And you're going to want to do that from top to bottom, and I'm going to do that right now. When you go around outlet colors, some guys will just roll right up to them. I like to make sure I cut in around them. It's probably going to be one of the easiest things you get to cut in. And again, we're going to lay that off. But the other thing that I like to do is just fill this whole thing in here. This space between the bottom of the outlet and the baseboard, I'll just fill that in, because I know that even when I'm rolling, a lot of times you'll get misses right there because it's hard to kind of get up and down and really get a nice good coat of paint on there. So just to be sure, I'll take that underneath there and use my brush and just fill that in. Alright guys, here's the part you've all been waiting for. Most of you have probably been dreading it. We're going to cut in from the wall to the ceiling. Again, this wall is going to go pink, this is our green wall, this is our ceiling. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, I don't know a pro yet that hasn't used this trick, and most of them continue to use it, some of them stop after a while, but a big problem that homeowners have is it's hard to see really where the wall stops and where the ceiling starts. So what you want to do is take the top one or your putty knife. If you don't have either of those, you can even use a pencil. Put it right in that corner and pull it across. And you're going to get a nice little black line. So get some paint on your brush, and the first thing you're going to want to do is paint about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch below the black line. Then come back with a second pass and try to get as close as you can to that black line. Now, the line isn't always going to be perfectly straight, at least the one that you do with your 5-in-1, but it's going to be a lot better than trying to eyeball it. But again, you want to go in, first pass, about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch below the black line, and then come back in with your second pass, work that paint off of the brush, a little bit less paint, and get right on that black line, and once you're on it, don't stop. Keep a nice steady hand and pull that out as far as you can.
If you do make a mistake and get a little bit on the ceiling, it's always less noticeable if you have a long stroke and you gradually take it back down off the ceiling as opposed to a sudden stop. Be sure to feather your edges, take your time, and be patient. When we come back for the second coat, you can straighten out any little imperfections that you have. As soon as you're done cutting the first wall, it's time to roll.
Okay, so I've got my roller. I've also got a 2-to-4 pole. Kind of self-explanatory, but I'll explain it anyway. Starts out at 2 feet, goes to 4 feet. If you don't have one of these, you really should invest in one. I think you can get them for under 20 bucks. If you don't have that, a lot of your broom sticks, your broom handles will fit into this little screw here, so you can use that if you have to. But definitely you're going to want to get, a 2-to-4. It's going to save your back in the long run. Now, when you're about to put your roller into the paint, most homeowners I've seen, they'll start here and they'll pull that paint here, and the roller doesn't roll, and then they get this big glob of paint that comes over the edge, and then they got a mess on the carpet. You're going to want to start here where it's dry and roll into the paint, and you're just going to roll it over the surface of the paint, not really into it. You want to roll the surface kind of like Jesus walking on water. Not quite as miraculous, but we're just going to go over the top like that and do it again. Make sure you get that, like I said, a nice light touch, because if you really just kind of dip it in there, you're going to get a lot of paint on the ends here, and it's just going to be a big giant mess. I'm a lefty, so I'm going to start on the right hand side and I'll roll to my left. So you're going to want to get a nice amount of paint on there. Give it a tip this way, and a tip this way. Make sure we don't have any paint coming off. So the whole, that whole theory that you hear people usually on those DIY shows that'll say, hey, do the W pattern. I don't know a painter alive that does the W pattern. Most guys, they get their nice stick out, start in the middle, go up, go down, and then roll back into it.
Apply even pressure on the roller and don't try to squeeze out every ounce of paint. It's a common mistake by rookies, and it's a surefire way to a bad paint job.
Okay, so we finished our first coat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fan on this, and then I'm going to start my pink walls. If you weren't doing an accent wall, continue on and do the rest of the walls.
Now, most pro painters I know do not tape off door frames. They say they can do it faster by hand, blah, blah, blah. I thought the same way too until I tried it. This way is faster, easier, and straighter. Now, when you come back to roll, you don't have to worry about getting too close to the sides of the door frames. They're already taped up, so put your roller right on that edge and enjoy some fearless painting. Now, this only works if you have really good tape. That's why I like to use the yellow tape. Most of the blue tape just does not work.
Okay, so we've got all of our walls are painted. Pink walls are second coated. This obviously has been second coated, our accent wall, and it's dry. We put the fans on that. We're going to use the blue tape. Now this tape is a little bit different than most blue tape. Most blue tape has what they call an orange peel. It's kind of got a rough backing. This has a smooth backing. It's a little bit better adhesion, yet it's still safe for the freshly painted walls.
Apply tape, press firmly along the edges, and paint it up.
Alright, so we are second coated on our corners, and we're going to pull the tape. I got it zoomed in a little bit, and we're going to see how it looks.
As a wise man once said, you can't argue with results. And these results are fantastic. Pull your tape while the paint is still wet, and don't put your outlet covers on until the paint is dry. For more how-to videos, contact information, or a printable version of what you've just seen, visit us at gogreenapple.com and click on the Tips for Homeowners page.